Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Gigawatts. I am Peter, that is Matt. We talk about movies on the show, new movies. This isn't like in Flux. In Flux, me and Connor, typically, sometimes Matt will jump in, but we do older movies on that show. This is the new movie show where we go to the theatre and we see a new thing, unless it's a new VOD release, I guess, but theatres, typically. And on this episode, we are going to talk about Baby Driver, which is the new film by Edgar Wright of the Cornetto trilogy and Scott Pilgrim fame. And it's an action movie where the action scenes are kind of cut in time to the music, which isn't that irregular, but it sort of makes more of a style out of it where it's consistently doing it.
Next level on this one.
So
ridiculous.
So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to start spoiler free. I'm warning Matt harshly here, no spoilers.
Come on. Have I ever betrayed your trust on that?
Several times.
Like once. And no one ever knew about it because we re-recorded it.
So start spoiler free. I'll give you a warning halfway through whenever we decide to start going into spoilers. There'll be a warning. So yeah, we're gonna get into it. So the plot of Baby Driver, the sort of basic synopsis, is that the main character named Baby is like a getaway driver for a sort of it's not a regular heist crew. It's
No,
what do you call him? Kevin Spacey.
He's a mastermind.
That's the name I was looking for. Kevin Spacey's like this rich guy who like organises bank heists and various jobs, and he's the getaway driver for these groups. So it's kind of like Drive meets like a more upbeat action movie kind of idea. And he has this condition. He's got tinnitus since he was a kid. He was in an accident, and as a result of that, he always listens to music to drown things out. So the movie kind of takes that and makes it the soundtrack. And like when he's driving, it seems to like sync up with the way the car moves and all the rest of it, and it's very playful in that sense. But ultimately, he meets a girl who he really likes called Deborah, who works at the local diner, and they kind of fall for each other. And it's about him wanting to get out of the criminal life and wanting to be done with it. And so it's him trying to get away, get that one last job done, and is he coerced back into it, that kind of thing. And that's what the movie's about. So I know the answer to this, and I feel like given a couple of the statements you've made already, I feel like the audience probably know the answer to this, but I'm going to do it anyway. This is the correct format of this show where I ask the question, Matt, did you enjoy Baby Driver?
Not at all. That's a lie. It was fantastic. Like from the time it kicks on, just the music. And like I'm not like Connor, who, if you guys know Connor, like studies music. I'm a fan of music, so I appreciate it on a different level. But here, like, not that it's a character, but it has a very defined place in the story and how the story gets told. And I don't think I've ever seen that in a movie that wasn't like Fantasia, where they animated around symphonies, arrangements and whatnot. So to see that, from the time the movie starts to even when he's walking and bopping along with the music, it honestly, drives through.
It's probably the most impressive thing about the movie is the sense of motion in a lot of scenes. There's a lot of things where Baby, he'll just be walking around. The opening title sequence is a sort of one-er that Edgar Wright likes to do. It's very reminiscent of a scene in Shaun of the Dead, actually, where he walks to a coffee place and then walks back to where he came from, and it's all one shot. It's very like that. But there's a lot more of a sense of momentum to it. Where Shaun of the Dead, like Simon Pegg's kind of slouching and just sort of shuffling along.
He's completely oblivious, because that pays off later when the apocalypse has happened. He's not really paying attention to all the zombies.
But it's very reminiscent of that, but it's like a new spin on it. And even when he's making breakfast for his foster dad, and he just does this momentum to him, like swinging around the side of the kitchen, and like just this movement and the way it's edited.
Yeah, he's always in motion unless he's around Doc. Like that's something I really noticed. Because he sits there still.
And Doc,
he's got his music going.
Doc is Kevin Spacey's character.
Yeah, Kevin Spacey. He's the main antagonist, you could say. I don't want to say villain, but he is the antagonist here.
Yeah, he's the corrupt criminal guy who's not letting him leave this life of crime. So
and so he's not that he's still there, but he's not as. So it really stands out. Like he's in business mode.
Yeah, well, it's I wouldn't even say it's like his business mode. It's more like he's on. It's when he's not comfortable. He's not being himself because he has to put on this front.
There we go.
Yeah, he's out of his element where he has to be here. But that's what I'd commend the movie for, is the sense of motion, the way it's edited. Edgar Wright's editing. Not that he's the one actively editing it, but it's extremely well shot. The way things flow and move, the car chases are great. There's a lot of great stunt work where they'll do something in one shot for a good while. You'll see the car skid round something, and there's no cutaways. It's just you see it skid round something, and it looks great.
Yeah, we talked about the Fast movies a lot on here, and those are big, dumb. These, I would say this is the best car action I've seen in a good long time, and that's including the Fast movies.
Oh, it is, because it's more down to earth and just, no, here's some actual impressive driving around things. And
like I don't know if you've ever seen like rally car races where they'll set up obstacles for the cars to go around. But if you guys are watching this, after you're done with this, of course, go to YouTube and look up some rally car stuff, because they do that type of stuff for real. Like there's one where there's a racer that goes on the Universal Studios backlot, and he does the tour in his rally car, and he's whipping around corners and stuff. And so, like in that opening chase scene, you see him drive backwards, like through these obstacles. And who's ever driving the car for reals, they did it. Like there's no
the
CG. It's ridiculous.
The stunt driver is like, the stunt drivers on this were doing a fantastic job, and the camera crew as well. The way they were capturing it, where they tried to get it in big long takes for the most part. Obviously, there's a lot more cutting in an action sequence, but I just mean like in a regular movie,
not to hide anything.
Yeah, one stunt would have like 10 cuts in it, whereas here, no, you'll see the full stunt and then it'll cut to the next shot. Like you would really get a full sense of everything happening in the frame, enough to make it feel very, very real in that sense. For my opinion on it, I liked it a lot. Like, a lot. I don't love it as much as you do, though. I do have...
We know how we do. I am like a child that gets its hand on a candy bar and is like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing of all time. And then I crash.
Well,
right?
no, to be fair, like, there's certain things like that where I will jump on the bandwagon. But the reason why I'm phrasing it like this is because, I'm seeing a lot of other people have a lot of buzz. There's a lot of people saying, oh, this is our best movie of the year so far, so on. And I get it. I do actually get that a lot. I think from a technical point of view, this movie is damn near flawless. The camera work, the editing, the way it's set up. I love the performances, especially from Baby, where he is constantly moving. His motion, even in scenes where it isn't like a chase scene or whatever, it gives it this sense of momentum throughout the entire thing, up until a point at least. I like a lot of the characters and how they're set up. However, I do think it gets a little bit sticky in the third act, and a few things don't add up for me. Obviously, more on that in spoilers, but there's a few things where I'm like, oh, I don't know if I really feel like that was set up, or so on, which is funny because Edgar Wright is actually very good at putting in little hints as where the movie's going. Like, it's even in this, but I'll compare it to a scene in Shaun of the Dead again, where there's a scene in Shaun of the Dead where Nick Frost's character basically says, oh, this is everything that's going to happen tomorrow, and he like lays out what they're going to do. We're going to do this, we're going to go for shots, we're going to do this, we're going to end up back at the bar by 8. We're going to visit your mum. That was in there somewhere. And he basically just describes the rest of the movie. Everything he said happens. It just so happens to happen when the zombies are around. But that's what happens. And there's something like that in this as well, where it kind of foreshadows everything that's going to go on. But I don't know, there was just a couple of things that didn't quite add up, and then there was a couple of things about the ending that I thought felt a little bit flat. But that would be the gist of my complaints.
My main problem is I felt like Wright didn't know how to end it exactly, because it kept going. Like, you feel like there should be a logical, this is where the story ends, and I felt he went past the finish line on that.
Not only that, and I don't necessarily think it needed to happen right at the end. And again, I'll talk about this a little bit more when we're talking plot details, but I do think it was missing one final car chase. Yeah. And I'll talk about that more in depth, but it really, because there's a moment there's a really good chase scene that's on foot in the middle, maybe sort of end of Act 2 of the movie, and it's really good. But the entire time you're like, oh, when's he going to get to a car? Because once he gets behind a wheel, he's unstoppable. Like, that's kind of the feeling of it.
Well, it kind of is it's kind of Edgar Wright's superhero movie, right? He didn't get to do Ant-Man.
Kind of, yeah. It's his superpower when he gets in a car.
Yeah, because he's a completely different person behind the wheel of a car.
Yeah.
He has momentum, but he's not bopping around. He's very secure of who he is while he's driving. And
but when he finally gets to a car, you think, oh, it's going to hit off, but that's just kind of the end of the scene. Like, it doesn't actually do anything with the car. It's just that's him getting away now. And then it never happens after that. You never get another big car chase scene. There's stuff in cars, sure, but it's not the same. It's not the big fancy chase scenes that we'd seen previously in the movie, and I feel like it was really missing that capper, that final big moment. And I mean, you could debate as to where it should have happened and what it should have involved and whatnot, but it felt like it was missing. And so I think it's a little bit uneven. I think Act 1 and 2 are great. I think Act 3 has a lot of great stuff in it, and there's a lot of stuff in it that I've liked more that I've thought about it a little bit since. There's a few things thematically that tie in for me, which is really nice. But there is one or two big things where I go, oh, that doesn't quite work for me. I don't feel like that was set up, and so that'd be the match. So very, very, very good. Like almost amazing. But just it's missing it for me on an emotional level because some of the things feel a little bit off in the last act.
Yeah, this is probably the most fun I've had at the movie since Kong, and like probably it supersedes Kong Skull Island because that movie I was like a kid, and I said on here during our review, my wife told me to settle down no less than 3 times. Good thing she didn't go to this with me and I went to like a early afternoon showing. I was like the only person in the theater, so I could react in ways, as if I were at home.
I'm just imagining you bouncing on the seat.
Yeah, that's so close.
Just bouncing and clapping like, yes, drive.
Well, it's more like, when stuff would happen, going like, oh shit, like I could. When you're sitting next to a full theater, you have to rein yourself in, and you can react to things, but not full broad strokes. But yeah. I had so much fun with this movie. Like, I might try to drag her to see it again, because I wouldn't mind seeing this on the big screen again.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning. It's got a pretty good supporting cast. John Hamm's in there; he's quite good.
Yeah.
His wife in the movie, Darling, played by Isa Gonzalez, she's pretty good on it as well.
I've never seen her before. I was surprised.
Me neither, but she was pretty good in this. Yeah. John Bernthal's in it, and he's quite good. I could have used a bit more of him, admittedly, but he was there. Obviously, Jamie Foxx. You and me both. Yeah, obviously Jamie Foxx is kind of another antagonist character in the movie. I have not hated someone in the movie that much. I can't tell you how long. Yeah, he's pretty far out there in terms.
And his name's Bat, so that only drove it for me that much more. So yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of the spoiler-free review. I think for anything else, we have to start digging into some details.
Mm-hmm.
So, from here on out, full spoilers for Baby Driver. You have been warned, but go see it. It's definitely worth checking out. Mm-hmm. So, I'll tackle my problems first. I feel it's a good jumping-in point, and then we can gush over all the stuff that's great.
Let's start low and aim high, kind of like a roller coaster.
So, my single biggest problem. In the third act, do you feel that they justifiably set up the fact that Doc was going to turn around and sacrifice himself for Baby and
No.
Deborah?
Because
that came out of nowhere for me.
Because he's constantly threatening them.
He
threatens Deborah when they're by themselves. Right?
Yeah. He threatens to kill or at least mangle Deborah. He repeatedly threatens to put him in a wheelchair. He makes him dispose of a dead body at one point, and like he's shown to be nothing but a ruthless, vicious scumbag throughout the entire movie.
He's a shark.
Yeah, there's a little bit of humour, and I've heard it argued that but it's because he has a connection to him because he has kind of helped raise him and he respects Baby. I'm like. I would be okay if that was the twist. Like if they had the big thing where, he secretly has a kind of a heart of gold and he cares about Baby, so he does this. But I feel like the movie went out of its way to show me that was not the case for the rest of it. So when he turned round and did this heroic last stand thing to let them get away, I was like, it rang completely false for me.
Yeah, I agree there. Also, I had a problem with John Hamm's character too, because that was another one where the whole movie you kind of hint that he does have this heart of gold, right? That he's like, he's nice to Baby early on, and when Barenthal's character, who's only in the 1-2 scenes, is giving him, the business, he stands up for him, and kind of is almost like a parent to Baby. And then at the end, his wife gets killed because of a bank robbery, right? This is a risk you have to assume might happen, and he goes full on supervillain.
He
Like,
does. He goes full on Terminator, which was
yeah.
entertaining. I think Hamm's actually very good. Like he sells it.
Oh
Like
yeah.
he is vicious sounding and looking
Did you
every
ever watch
step of
Mad
the way.
Men? Because I
I
I never
saw
got into Mad Men.
I saw a season and a half of Mad Men.
Okay, but he's been good in everything I've ever seen him in.
Mm.
So that's I don't want to make it sound like he's never been that. I didn't know he could be this good because he's so charming. Like he's got that classic Hollywood. Like yeah, he's Mr. Good Looking dude. But then when he does like you said, Full Terminator, I bought that. It was just the reasoning, and it was almost like they needed an antagonist
Yeah.
for him, and in that
Well, it's because
mold.
I feel like Wright really wanted to subvert expectations, which is why Spacey turned out to be a good guy, even though he really wasn't.
Yeah,
It's
but
why Jamie Foxx actually meets his end, because Jamie Foxx is set up to be the main antagonist, and then
yeah,
he gets. Don't get me wrong, the moment where Baby takes it onto his own hands and kills Jamie Foxx is fantastic, right? It's great.
clapped. I clapped.
But it's right after that scene where immediately John Hamm starts going like full evil, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, wait, if you wanted to have this in the third act, I feel like you could have just had it be Jamie. Now, there is some little tidbits that set it up, which is kind of nice. There's some thematic stuff where when he's flicking through channels earlier, there's a thing on about like the bull going for the red, and like throughout
Yeah.
the last act of the movie, John Hamm is constantly lit in red, and it's kind of the idea that he's
Yeah.
the bull. And he's
Yeah.
coming for Baby, and I like those things. And even there was a really subtle, obviously as a slasher movie fan, I appreciated the Michael Myers joke, where they're
Yeah.
supposed to get Michael
Oh,
Myers
man.
mask, and the guy gets the Mike Myers mask.
I
But
wish they hadn't ruined that in the trailer. 'Cause the trailer that I
yeah,
kept getting, that was in
I
there.
saw
It
it
was
as
on
well.
TV spots. I wish they had held that because that would have been such a good laugh.
And they have that extra part of the joke where he's like, "Oh, you mean Jason? No, that's Friday the 13th. No, Michael Myers from Halloween."
Yeah.
And then when we find out that Buddy's real name, that's John Hamm's character, his real name turns out to be Jason. I thought that, oh, that's a little wink, wink, nudge, because he basically turns into
Yeah.
a serial killer at the end, where he's coming and he doesn't
I
stop.
didn't even pick up on that till you just said it.
Yeah.
That's keen observation.
But like again, so there's fun details. I think sometimes Edgar Wright he focuses on the nitty gritty, and the nitty gritty always works really well. But in this
Yeah.
case, I feel like the larger, like just the core character motivation feels a bit off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
As far as his character's concerned, yeah. I
So-
mean, everything with Baby and Deborah and all that, I feel is very fully formed.
Yeah,
Their
yeah,
whole
yeah,
relationship, the way it goes.
for the most part,
But-
yeah, I agree with that. I think ultimately that's kind of what my main complaints of the movie are. It's Kevin Spacey's face turn doesn't quite work. John Hamm's fantastic as the Terminator, but it feels a little bit forced to get it there. And ultimately, I do think the third act was missing that one big last car chase to really set it off.
Yeah.
That,
I do.
that's
And
my
I
main
get
complaints.
like you said, right, was subverting expectations. So it's almost like, well, we're gonna get the super bad guy turn good. We're gonna get the nicer bad guy turn super evil, and you're not gonna get a car chase. It's gonna be Baby trying to do everything he can in a car chase, but never being able to get out. Like there's constant stuff, and I don't think it helps that. You know?
Yeah, I think the problem is it's fine to want to subvert expectations, but you have to subvert it with something that's better or more interesting, or at least something that makes sense in hindsight. And some of it doesn't, and some of it feels kind of like forced for shock's sake, and that's
Yeah.
where the movie kind of stumbles a little bit for me in the last act. Because I mean, I wasn't super sure how I felt about the ending at first with Baby going to prison, but ultimately
Yeah.
I did actually kind of like it, mainly because this idea that the reason why he was doing this in the first place, the reason why he owed a debt to Doc that he was paying off, was because he used to steal cars when he was younger, and he stole one of Doc's cars with like money in it or whatever, and when he dumped it, he lost all that money, and he's been paying it off ever since. That's why he's doing these jobs for him, and I like the idea that even though he's very sympathetic throughout the movie and he's the good guy, he doesn't want people to get killed, and whenever he sees like Jamie Foxx has killed someone in the job, he can't take it. He's like, wait, this is not right, and you sympathise with him.
Right.
As much as that's the case, he is still involved in this, because like how many cops get shot in some of these bank robbery shootouts where he's a part of this?
He's still an accessory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's still an accessory, and he initially still stole cars, which led him in this path in the first place. He had to pay for his crimes. Like, so I do like the idea that he makes the choice at the end. No, I'm not going to run. I'm not going to do this. I'm better than this life. And he steps out and he puts his hands up and he lets himself get arrested. And all of the little good deeds throughout, like all the victims who speak up for him, all point out these little moments where, oh, he tried to warn me so I wouldn't get shot, or he tried to do this so I wouldn't have this happen. and clearly it helps him get a better sentence. I'm not sure if I believe that even with these testimonies that someone who was an accessory to so many cops dying would get off this easy. However, it works for the story thematically.
Yeah, it depends on. I would say it depends on the judge too, because again, his character, is he's gonna do some time, but maybe not. Like they set up, he gets 25 years, but he's eligible for parole
after 5.
Not just after 5, which that's he's good to go, good behavior, and we see him in the jail being a model citizen. He's going about his business and whatnot. So. Yeah, I mean, I like that part of the ending. I like that because we keep seeing this fantasy that him and Deborah have this thing where she just wants to hop in a car they can't afford and drive and listen to music for as long as they can. And he keeps envisioning her pulling up in this classic 50s coupe, and she's dressed all nice, and they're going to make their run. And so at the end, we see that, and it's all black and white before, but the color fades into it. I thought that was a nice... little tag.
Yeah, it's funny because I have seen some people say that the maybe that last scene is just him fantasizing still, but for me the black and white switching to colour is them telling us no, this is now it's really happening, which is fine. Like if you got out 5 years later, because it's not aged by the looks of it, so it must be 5 years and not 25.
Exactly,
just by default.
Comes out as an old man.
Yeah. Which is fine, and I think that's the part of the movie that works really well for me is him being good and being surrounded by these evil people, especially Jamie Foxx, and because I think the outside of the momentum and all the movement that we talked about that's really good, I think the best part of the movie, from a dramatic point of view, is when Baby's trying to avoid Jamie Foxx, or Bats, I should use his name. Bats doing something bad, like when he doesn't want to go into the diner because that's where Deborah works. He doesn't want to go in there.
Right.
He doesn't want because at one point they pull up to a gas station and Bats goes in and he comes out and he stole the chewing gum and he looks back. Baby looks back inside the shop and he can't see the person who's behind the counter, implying that he might have shot him and he might be. This is just some innocent person who's been killed for no reason. Right,
and the first time you see it, it's when they're pulling the job and he shoots the armored truck guard, which I mean, that's in their line of work. That's not as shocking, but it progressively gets worse as they keep going.
Yeah.
The things that Bats does, and he tries to shoot at the cops, and Baby swerves, and Bats starts picking up on it. Like you get the feeling that Bats is a bad guy,
actually,
but he's not dumb.
I don't think it was a cop. That was the vigilante guy.
Oh, the vigilante.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it because
of course, because it's set in Atlanta, so of course there's going to be a dude in a pickup truck with a conceal and carry license.
I was fine with that when he just had a shotgun, but then when the shotgun ran out and he flipped his seat and there was a machine gun, I'm like, all right, you're taking this a bit. Like
machine gun, yeah. I did like though that he went into his center console and pulled out a pistol to start with, like of course.
It was just like, okay, how dedicated is this guy to catching these criminals when he's...
Yeah.
Like, it just felt like he was going so far.
I kind of also took it, he was a guard that was getting off from work, because he was there.
Yeah.
So that's how I took it. Now, that might not be, I might just be filling in gaps, that aren't there. But still, yeah, him pulling out the machine gun like that, where those like, okay, it's a little too far. But yeah, each thing Bats does is progressively worse, and... Baby starts to put his foot down as best as he can, like when they go to the diner, and he's giving Deborah all the signs. Just stay away, please.
I want to point out, John Hamm's like what, mid-40s, maybe late 40s.
He's a good-looking dude, though.
Yeah, Isaac Gonzalez, who plays his wife in this, is younger than us.
Yeah. Well, so I like to Bats not being dumb, he figures out their thing, and he puts together this narrative that he got into trouble on Wall Street with a drug problem, and he, took off on his life, and
which I think is kind of funny because it kind of puts him in the. He was an advertising guy in Mad Men, but it feels very Mad Men to say he used to be on Wall Street.
Exactly. So because he cuts that figure, like he's that guy. But yeah, and he meets his favorite, lap dancer, and they go off on the run together.
Here's a question, right? And this is a valid one. I'm not also complaining about it. Because it does kind of make having him around makes most of the movie exciting because it is this tension of what's he going to do? Is he going to hurt Baby's foster dad and stuff like that? You're worried about what he's going to do. But here's a question: why does Doc keep hiring bats? What does he bring to the team?
Yeah. He's a loose cannon.
Because he's
like,
a wild
I don't
card.
know.
Like, because he sends them
Yeah.
to, like, Docs get these contacts to get them some guns for the job they're going to pull, the third act
Yeah.
job. And, like, Bats sort of recognizes that they're probably cops, and he just, like, starts opening fire, and they end up with this big
Yeah.
shootout. And it turns out, no, they were cops, but they were dirty cops that the Doc trusts. That was the point.
Yeah. This is a whole world, too, that I wouldn't mind, like, a comic based around, like a prequel. Because, like, the fact that Kevin Spacey, he's the Kingpin from Daredevil.
Yeah.
Like, he's got fingers in everything, from the cops to the bank people to, like, it's ridiculous, and I love it. When I say ridiculous, I don't mean ridiculous bad. I mean just like it's, yeah, you get what I mean. But yeah, no. Why does he keep hiring Bats? Because Bats keeps saying when people are involved with him, they end up dead, and he doesn't lie.
Yeah, and
like,
I mean, look at the job, the armored car job. One of the guys ended up having to murder them because they made some stupid decisions. Like, he got the wrong mask first of all.
Yep.
And then he left his bag behind, or his gun behind, with fingerprints, and it's like, well, we have to take him out of the equation now, because they can, if they find him, they can make him talk. That leads to us.
Yeah.
Done. So
exactly, he's sewing up all the loose ends.
But yeah, it's just one of those weird things that I'm like, why are you hiring this man? But at the same time, it brings the movie so much entertainment that it's hard to complain about it. So no, I want to talk about the scene at the post office when he's casing the joint, and Doc sends Baby in with these. It sounds like it's his. At first, it's like grandson, but then he says chip off all the old block at one point, so it sounds like he accidentally reveals it's actually his son. But little Sam actually cases the joint out himself while he's playing a video game. But the reason why I'm bringing this up, because the line that got the biggest laugh when I seen this was easily later on. It's when Baby says our friendship's important to Doc. Doc says, don't quote Monsters Inc. to me, you little shit. It's one of Sam's favourites. I knew that sounded familiar. And that was good. Funny. That was really funny. Yeah.
But see, I took that as too, he's the next Baby. Like, you know, this is a bad little kid that he's shaping to be what he needs him to be.
Oh, okay. Maybe in that sense. Okay. I didn't take it so much as that. I took it was more of an affirmation that Baby repeats things a lot, kind of like his music, because we find out he keeps recording people, and he makes little mixtape things out of it. And little
no. You're correct with the Monsters Inc. thing. I was talking about Sam. The kid.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. I just take that more. He's the next. I mean, or he could be the kid, or whatever. But that little Joker, he's cases it immediately. Like, yeah, it's pretty funny. So Edgar Wright gets a lot of love for directing action, right? Because he's good at it, based off the log. But he's also great with relationships, because not just, Baby and Deborah, but Baby and his foster dad or his adoptive dad. I loved all those scenes where they're talking, speaking in sign language, and just your heart goes out to him because he's deaf, but he's not dumb. He knows this money's coming from somewhere, and he's putting it together that it's probably not from a good place, and he's trying to talk him out of it. And the actor that they got has like these soulful eyes that he just sells everything through a look.
I agree. I think honestly, I think the Baby Deborah relationship is kind of impressive because honestly, on paper, I don't think I'd like a lot of it. Like, this whole thing where they keep bringing up, there's not a lot of songs with Deborah in it. There's like 2, and they bring those up. He's like, there's tons of songs with Baby in it. And this is like a constant running theme where they talk about, because at the end of the movie, when you find out his real name is Miles, which by the way, very funny. Yes, miles per hour, blah, blah, blah. But like that on paper to me sounds like cheesy shit. But
because it is. It's a very shallow, like they meet. Their meet cute is like in every single romantic comedy. Like they meet at the diner and she's popping in, listening, and singing Baby, which gets his attention. And we see her early on in the movie, when he goes to get coffee.
Yeah, you never see her properly. You just see her like walking around with the headphones, and it's her later on because she comes in walking with the same headphones. Yeah,
right, exactly. So, but yeah, it is super cheesy. But the fact that I love Lily James so much, like.
I don't share the bias, but go on, yes.
Okay, she conveys all of the emotion, and I buy it completely. I was like, she's a sweet girl that just wants to get out, and this is not that baby's just her ticket, but finally she has a partner to do this with, and they can share these hopes and dreams and everything.
It does feel like they kind of find each other, and like just the fact that she likes music so much, it kind of ties into what he is with life. I also want to point out, much like the dock scenes, these are also the scenes that stop moving. Like they become very static when it's just them together. And it's the idea that time's standing still because he's focused on her. He's not just moving again. So again, from a sort of filmmaking technique and the editing point of view, it changes for her scenes, and it works really well with what his movie's going through. I want to talk about you mentioned he gets a lot of credit for filming action scenes, and you're right, he does. And I want to point out what makes him so good, beyond just the choreography of the action itself. He makes the camera feel like it's also choreographed with the movement, which is something not all directors do. Some directors, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, some directors do have different styles that work very well. But what Edgar Wright does is it feels like the camera is also... See in that oneer when at the start of the movie when the credits are playing and he's walking to get the coffee, the way the camera sort of like bobs along with him and then like moves down to look at the person on the road or down to something else that's on the street. Which, by the way, the lyrics of the song were in the graffiti in the background. I don't know if you noticed that.
Well, it's also all of his motions too were playing in
the camera.
You know, like when he plays the trumpet and everything's framed that way.
Yeah, the camera just kept moving. It was almost like that whoever was operating that Steadicam had to rehearse it with the actor. Like they had to rehearse together so that he could also do the movements in time. And I always really appreciate that. I feel like when the camera itself feels like it's also a character. Not in every movie, because it's kind of sometimes you watch serious drama, you want the camera to sit back and just observe. Well,
when I went through film school, they always told us never draw too much attention to the camera. But then that got, in more advanced classes, it was unless you know the rules and why you're breaking them. So, like here, Edgar Wright knows what he's doing with making the camera bop around because it's adding that momentum, and it's adding to baby's story. It's solidifying who he is as he's going to go get coffee.
It's also... It's kind of like if we're using this as kind of like this weird musical where the action scenes are the musical numbers, the camera is also part of the dance choreography, if that makes sense. And
that's always that is in all those early musicals. That was you had to use the camera that way, right?
And especially it's even the foot chase scene through the mall when he's running from the cops and he's putting on a different jacket and everything he did. So see that moment. It's in the trailer actually, but when he runs over the tables and it's almost like Jesus like running on water, with the way he just sort of taps each table so quickly.
It's like parkour, but not quite.
Yeah. So credit to him,
and it feels like the camera's trying to keep up with him. Yeah, right. Like
so, credit to him, but also credit to the stunt because I obviously that was shifting between him and a stunt guy. But credit to both of them for making it feel so seamless and feel so. That's the beauty of putting in the hat on, the sunglasses. You get away with a lot more stunt work for the rest of the scenes. So that's really smart, but. That stuff was really, really good. All that stuff's really well shot. That's like I say, like when I come back to it, a lot of the character stuff does work for me, but some of it does fall apart in the last act. The technical stuff, though, the way the camera moves, the way that stuff's choreographed, that is what is flawless in this movie. So I applaud that part of it.
Well, and again, we talked about it in the beginning, but the use of music with the editing, like that last gun battle, or one of the gun battles, I can't remember which one it was. The bullets are being fired in rhythm to the music.
Do you know what I think is really funny about this? I've compared it to Shaun of the Dead a couple of times. I love that the entire idea for this movie might have came from that scene in Shaun of the Dead. You remember that scene where they start beating the zombie up with the sticks, but it's in time to the Queen song that's playing, and they're actually doing it in beat. I like the idea
the last song in this one's a Queen song.
Yeah.
So
it is. But I like the idea that one joke in Shaun of the Dead went, you know what? I could do a whole movie like this, and that's kind of what this is.
It is. I like him. He's every time one of his movies comes out, I'm just like, I need more of this. And it's a shame as Ant-Man fell through because we missed a solid. When did World's End come out? We were doing the podcast, so probably 3 years ago.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. Sounds about then.
So the fact that we haven't gotten a movie of his sooner, but then again, this is what we waited for. It was well worth the wait. Yeah. But he's just. Yeah, they're always fun to watch. From Scott Pilgrim to I'm trying to think what else.
The Canal trilogy, Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, we all know those though. I'm trying to, but that's about it. I haven't seen Spaced. His TV work, I'm blind on.
That's pretty good.
I need to. yeah, I need to get in on that.
But again, you can
he's
kind of
fun
see
to
that,
watch.
you can see how that evolved into the Cornetto trilogy. You can kind of see the
Yeah,
seeds that became that.
I think I'm gonna do that. I'm on my summer hours now. I have more time in the afternoon. I think it's on Hulu. I think I'll go
Yeah,
through
it's not a long
Spaced.
show either. It's like 14 episodes
No,
total.
yeah, he was on Nerdist this week, the podcast promoting Baby Driver. But him and Hardwick are such close friends. It just became listening to two friends talk about everything, and he was talking about how he likes that the British TV is that short because it means he doesn't have to stay with anything too long. It's like doing a movie, at a much bigger pace, but he can do that and then move on to do other things,
Yeah.
and wasn't pigeonholed. So, and we get Baby Driver, so which is going down right now is probably my favorite movie so far this year, but we also have a lot more coming out just this summer.
We do have a lot to. I want to point out the trailers I was getting. I got the trailer for Blade Runner 2049. I got the trailer for War for the Planet of the Apes, which, by the way, because me and Connor did the last two, Rise and Dawn and Eternal Flux over the last few weeks. Although, to be fair, Dawn's not up for the public yet. It says it's early on Patreon right now, but it'll be up soon for everyone else. And those movies are fantastic. Dawn especially is an absolutely fantastic movie. It's like
you think it's gonna be hard to top that, and then you get this trailer, and you're like, well, okay.
And I hadn't seen it yet. I'd seen the teaser that was like short, but this trailer that shows the plot where they take in a human girl and it's like Caesar's protecting her. I'm like, oh my god, this looks amazing. Like, what are you doing?
Well, and there's bad apes teaming with the humans too.
I know.
You get those gorillas, and you're like, what? It's breaking my mind. Like, it's weird if you would have told me as a kid they're gonna make Planet of the Apes trilogy where you end up rooting for the apes.
As a kid, what? Tell me 5 years ago, I'd have been like, you're crazy.
Well, me and my dad watched a lot of the ape movies when they were on TV, so like, that's my reference point. But yeah, I mean, I went in, but before seeing Baby Driver, I was like, probably until Star Wars comes out. My favorite two movies this year are both going to feature apes, so I'm buying heavy into Planet of the Apes. We got Dunkirk on top of it.
Dunkirk. We get Spider-Man next week. Maybe that'll be fun. A bunch of stuff that I'm looking forward to. But like, I got the trailer for War, and it was fantastic. And I'm like, oh my, this isn't like 2-3 weeks. I can't believe that we're so close to this because. That trilogy has really surprised, I think, everyone of just the quality level that it is sitting at.
Yeah, like, no one was expecting it. And then who did the first one? It was
Wyatt, Rupert Wyatt.
Rupert Wyatt. Yeah.
And then Matt Reeves.
Wyatt does. Yeah. So he comes in and just is like, "Yep, this is gonna be awesome."
Yeah. So I got that. I also got the trailer. This is the funny thing. I have seen like 3 or 4 Spider-Man Homecoming trailers to this point. I somehow got a trailer for that at the theater when I went to see Baby Driver that I hadn't seen before. So I'll tell you this right now: that movie might be great, but it has had far too many trailers.
I agree. I mean,
too many.
Also, the coverage on it. This is the double-edged sword when it comes to Marvel movies. Is we know too much about them now. So when it announced we know who X character is, it's in the headline. So I'm like, well, I wish you guys would have left that to me to figure out in the movie.
I really do feel like I know the entire plot of this movie going into it. Like I really, between like the 4 trailers that I've seen, I feel like I can just tell you what the plot beats are throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. Although Michael Keaton looks great.
It does look good. It's getting good reviews. I mean, Dawn's also not Dawn. War for the Apes. That embargo dropped early. Like, it's already getting reviews. It's in the 90%.
Nice.
It's looking good. So they're confident. They're obviously confident. So that stuff's looking good. But no, back to Baby Driver. We went on a tangent because of trailers. It's great. Is there anything we've not touched upon that you want to talk about?
I talked about the music. Talked about Lily James, how adorable she is. We talked about Spacey, who's always good. Like, I haven't seen 9 Lives, so I can't say I don't think he turns in a bad performance. but he's the voice of a talking head. But Spacey just is that kingpin character that you just feel you don't want to cross him. Like, yeah, he's an older dude, but he wields so much power that you're not going to get away with it.
He's good. I mean, we talked about expectations being subverted because obviously they set up the idea that the Buddy might kill bats because Darlene kind of like says, "Oh, he looked at me funny," and like they set up that might happen, then it never does, and that's okay, like fulfilling that. Yeah. But like I say, it does
baby got to him first.
Exactly. But it does kind of feel like in the last act that it's missing this big final chase. Now, obviously, final confrontation with Buddy is pretty fun, But I don't know if like them just like, you know, in a parking garage is maybe the conclusion I was expecting.
Well, yeah, I did like when he deafened him when he says, "I'm going to take what you love."
Yeah, it takes away the music.
And I thought, oh well, Buddy's just going to disappear now, right? Like that was just a swerve that he was going to get to Deborah, but no, he takes away his hearing, and it's like, well, he's suited to it. Now he can't have music. But then they took it that extra step, and no, he was gonna deafen him and kill Deborah.
I liked his death though. Like when he falls off the.
Yeah.
Well, I say fall, push. Maybe more of an accurate term, but no, I liked his death. So there was definitely stuff I liked about it. It felt like a weird conclusion. Like the final big chase that I was kind of looking forward to kind of never happened, and it was.
You nailed it with the subverting expectations, but if you subvert them like that, you have to seed it properly so it doesn't look like it comes from nowhere.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, Kevin Spacey's turn comes from nowhere. Arguably, some of the other stuff does. Like, the idea of, like, oh no, the villainous guy you thought was the villain dies early, and then it's the other guy who becomes evil. I don't mind that. I think it could have been better seeded, like, but that could have worked. But I feel like it was missing a chase. There needed to be a car chase. Because, like we say, that entire foot chase, like, it was great, but I'm like, oh, wait until he gets to a car. That's his superpower. That's when it's really going to... And then he gets to a car, he gets to the Cadillac, and he just drives off, and the scene cuts, and it's like... What? Where's my action
He throws
scene?
the old lady her purse, and you think, okay, we're gonna get a cop chase. No,
it just cuts. It's like it's just magic ending, and it's like, and I was like, okay, fine, but they've got one for me later, and then they never actually do. So it felt like it was lacking that big final chasing, but otherwise, from a technical point of view, it's flawless. It's really solid. I cared about the relationships enough where I was really worried about Jamie Foxx's character killing people and taking him into the diner. That was a really tense scene. You felt awkward that this was how she was finding out, like how Deborah was finding out that Baby was involved in all this, because she doesn't even know who these people are. He's pretending not to know her. And don't get me wrong, there is a cheering moment when he grabs that. Like, see when Jamie Foxx gets up to shoot her in the diner, and he just like grabs the gun and he's like, "No, you're not doing this."
But see, and that was well seated because of like the thief scene when he steals the gun.
Yeah.
Is we know this is what Bats does, and Baby's just exerting. What am I looking for? Exerting himself. No, asserting himself.
There you go. But no, it's like he's been so passive in letting things happen, even though he's uncomfortable with them. This is the first one. It's like, no, you're not doing this. It's a bit of a power play, and you know it's what gets everyone else kind of suspicious of him and makes them question what's going on and whatnot. But that's Baby Driver. So it is really good. As much as I do think there's some legitimate complaints in the last act. As far as ranking this with Edgar Wright's other movies, I'd probably say it's better than, for me at least, it's better than World's End. And I would say it's better than, for me it's better than Scott Pilgrim, but I know I'm in the minority, where some people have Scott Pilgrim ranked super high. For me, Hot Fuzz is his masterpiece. Yeah.
This Hot Fuzz and Scott Pilgrim are all hovering around the top. It's tough to what I'd put in, but I need to rewatch Hot Fuzz. I haven't watched it in a couple years.
I mean, honestly, Baby Driver might be his second best movie, but I'm going to have to watch, because Edgar Wright does a lot of little things that I feel like in a second watch it might play out even just a bit better than it did the first time.
Yeah.
But
that's how it was with Hot Fuzz. I was like, okay, this is fine, but it wasn't until the second watch that I really loved it, because I wasn't trying to figure out the mystery and whatnot. Yeah. I was able to take in all the fun stuff.
I think from a technical point of view, it's his best movie. But from a writing perspective, I think it might be more middle of his pack. Yeah. Because of the third act.
As much as I love Scott Pilgrim, that's him adapting something, so it's not as Edgar Wrighty, right, as it could be. So, but yeah, no, I have it up in the top. It's
which I guess now we actually forgot to do this with one or two movies recently because I kept forgetting
the ratings.
But yeah, rating this Baby Driver out of 10. Matt, what would you rate Baby Driver out of 10?
I'm going 9.5.
Oh, that is praise. That is right up there.
That is, and you know we do it in the Mild Fuzz group. We do a monthly watch list, and I usually don't participate, but I've watched a lot of movies being on summer, and I noticed that I, without hesitation, give it a 9.5. In the watch list, so I'm gonna stick to my guns here and give it that.
I think when I first left, I was like 8, but I think I'm sliding up to an 8.5. For all the reasons I've said, obviously I did have some problems with a couple of things later on in the movie where it doesn't feel as satisfying as it perhaps should have. I think Acts 1 and 2 are pretty much flawless though. And as I say, the technical feat on display here with the camera movement, the action scenes, the end time of the music, very eclectic mix of music as well. All that stuff's really good. So 8.5 out of the 10s. So, but there you go. That is Baby Driver. So by all means, let us know what you thought of the movie in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. It helps us out a lot. Get us on Twitter, mailed_fuzz for channel updates. Individual Twitters, I'm at Wibble89, and Matt's at MattofSteel57. If you want to support the channel and everything we do here, you can go over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv, see some of the bonuses. A lot of movie-related ones in there, if you're interested in that. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV, or movies in this case. I usually say that and almost cancelled. I flubbed. That was perfect until I flubbed it, god damn it. Keep watching movies, guys. We'll see you next time. And that will be soon, because next week we have Spider-Man. So thank you very much. Goodbye.